Hey guys, in this video we'll be looking at how to upload your files from your phone directly to your Microsoft SharePoint list. If you are ready, let's begin. So first, before we begin, let's look at how it works. Say for instance you have a Microsoft form that is displayed here, and you maybe select some feed on the form. Let's say I selected this selected, let's say I have a login issue, and the issue is I can't log in to the portal, for instance, and I have a screenshot. Regardless of what the screenshot is, let's say this is the screenshot. So I have a screenshot of the issue I'm facing, so with an attachment. So once I click on submit, I come back, I go directly to my SharePoint list. Let me refresh. So we can see that, which is I can't log into the portal. So once I click on this, and I can see the attachment that I just added, right, which is what we want. So, and also, what if I didn't include an attachment? Also, I don't want my phone to fail, right? So let me go back, submit another response, and I'm going to select this time, let's say HQ, and under HQ I'm dealing with you, and I'm going to say other IT related issue. I need a new desktop. So this time I'm not going to include any upload, and I'm just going to submit. So if I still come back here, refresh, let me refresh again. So if I come back here and refresh, I can see that it has dropped in. If I click on it, we don't see any attachment to it because we didn't add any attachment. So that's what we'll be working through in this video. Let's begin. So to begin with the Power Automate part of things, the first thing will be to go to your Power Automate, and then you are going to hit create. So in this case we'll be using the automated cloud workflow, and I'm going to give the flow a name, and I'm just going to call it when if form item is submitted. And the trigger will be when a response is submitted. I'm just going to click create. So I'm going to let that open up, and the first thing will be to update the connection. Of course we are using this connection, so I'm going to select the form, which is our IT support request. So once we have that selected, the next thing will be to add another action, which will be to get the detail of the response that was submitted. Response. So we'll be using the get response detail from the form. So where are we getting it from? We'll select the same form, and we are going to use a unique ID, which will be our dynamic content gotten from the form. So once you have that, the next thing we might want to do is to check, okay, what is the output of that get response detail. And to do that, we might want to use something called the data operation, and this time we'll be using something called the compose. So I'm just going to include the compose, and I'm going to select one of the inputs that I want to view the content of the output. So but one thing you need to, which is the issue screenshot, which is the attachment, right? So one thing you need to know about forms in Microsoft Framework is the fact that whenever you are uploading an item, that item becomes an array. Why? Because the item you are uploading could have a name, it's a format, it could be in any format, it will have sizes, it will have various details. So because of that, it becomes an array, so you can't really pass it directly to your SharePoint list, because if you are passing it, you are passing a chunk of data. So for us to view that data that we want to pass, we'll use something like the compose. So I'm just going to save this, and I'll go back to the form and then submit a simple request. So let's go back, which is this, and I'm going to hit preview, and I'm just going to select an answer. So I'm just saying HQ, and the facility will be UU. The issue category could be anything. Let us say laptop, and the issue is my laptop is down something. So I'm going to select upload file, and I might just go to download, look for any random file. So let's say this guy, and I'll hit submit. So on our workflow, we can go back a little bit to see if it has run. So we've seen this guy runs and it's successful. So here I'm going to click on the compose item. So if we look at the output, which is what we are really concerned about, so we can see it's like a chunk of data that has name, duplicable, the link to where it's located, and various, the type, null, the size, the reference ID, and a lot of information. So I'm just going to copy all of this information from the compose. I'm just going to copy it and keep it somewhere. So I'll go to click edit. So here I'm going to add an item, which is what parse JSON. So it's still a data operation. So I'm going to use the parse JSON because I'm concerned about few element, not the entire element. So in this place, the content I want to add that will be this screenshot and attachment. And for me to get the schema that I will use that schema I just copied from the compose. So I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to delete this quotation that is before and after it. So once I have that deleted, I can click on done for it to automatically generate schema. So we can see the schema for our attachment icon, so which is fine. So once we have that, I can take this one out, and I'm going to click OK. So I can decide to save that. So the next thing will be, now that we have the JSON parsed to it, will be to create an item. So I'm going to click pause to create the item on our SharePoint list. I'm going to call it create, and I'm going to use this option, which is create item. So once that's done, I'm going to select the SharePoint list, which is training, and I'm going to select the site, which is this guy. So just give it some time, and I'm going to click show all. So the title could be any title. I'm just going to leave that out. It's not really something I want to set up. The status value, we already set the default to new, so you can see that. Name claim will be the name of the person, no item, so you can decide to use a custom value. So once I show more, I can see responders email, so I can select that, which is this. I'm still going to use this for emails as well. So here I'm going to go to the responders email, show more, and I'm going to select the responders email. State and value will be, of course we have three states, we have Abuja, we have HQ. So I'm just going to use a custom value, which is coming in from the form dynamic. I'm going to select the state, right? So facility name, facility could be Lagos, it could be Abuja, it could be Uyo. So I'm just going to select Lagos. I'm going to select Abuja, and I'm going to select HQ. I think that's the last one. I'm going to select HQ facility. So whichever options the person filling the form filling is going to take that. So on the subject, I'm going to select subject, which is issue category, I think, and under description it's just simply going to be description, right? So that's that for the create item. So one of the things that we might need to note is, if we go back to the form and then we view responses, so I'm just gonna scroll down, I'm gonna hit got it here, and I'm gonna click on more details under the attachment. So this is the recent one, so I'm going to click on this, so it's going to show that. But if I go to view folder, I'm just going to wait for that to load. So we notice that our file is actually saved to OneDrive, and the location where it is on OneDrive is this, right? So that means we have to find a way to move this from here to our SharePoint, which is our SharePoint list, which is where we are working with. So to do that, we'll go back to our workflow again, and then we're going to add a simpler workflow, which is to get file content. So we're going to add that action, get file content, which is this. That means you are getting it from OneDrive. So first, let me authenticate. So the next thing will be to add the file. So this time we'll be using the ID of the parse JSON. So I'm going to get to more of this guy, and I'm going to click on body ID, which is this guy. So the next thing will be now to add the attachment. So I'm just going to search for add attachments. We've gotten the ID from OneDrive, so let's add the attachment to our SharePoint list. So I'm going to click on add attachment. We are adding the attachment, so we're adding it to training, and then this SharePoint list name, which is helpdesk, and the ID will be the ID of our create item. And what's the file name that we want to add? So remember the file name that we've gotten from our parse JSON, right? So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to parse JSON, show more. Of course, that's the body name, but you see we have many other options, but I'm going to just go with the body name, which is the name, and then the file content will be our file content that we've gotten from our OneDrive, which is this guy. So the next thing will be to save and then test the workflow. We see that it's submitted, the name, the email submitted. So let's click on this. So but we can't see the attachment, right? So if I click on it directly, I can see it on a full HD. This worked perfectly, but let's consider a scenario when a user did not attach an item to it. So our workflow tends to fail, right? So if a user didn't attach, let's say they had no screenshot of the issue they are facing, this workflow is going to fail. So to handle that, we're going to add a simple conditional statement, and where we're going to add that is to add that here. And so I'm going to call it go to control, and under control I'm going to add condition. So under the condition, I'm going to move all of these guys into the truth statements. Move the for each loop, everything into the for loops. Okay, so I'm going to create a condition such that whenever that particular column, that which is the form field, is not equal to it's not equal to 0. So if you go with this option, it can't convert this to an integer to know if it's 0 or not. So what you can simply do in this case would be to use the function. So we're going to click on f of x, and then we are going to calculate the length of this guy. So we are going to simply say if the length, which is this function, of what, I'm going to add the dynamic content. So if the length of this guy, which is the screenshot and attachment, is not equal to 0, that means there is something in it. So if it's not equal to 0, that means there's something in it. If that is true, it should go through this route. And also, if it's false, right, you still want to create an item, right? So I'm just going to click on create item, and I'm going to select where to create it. Training, the list will be support. Click on show all, and basically what I'm creating is still the same thing. Email will just be custom value. So this handle the part where a user didn't submit any form. So let's go back and test that out. So if we come back here We can submit another response. I'm going to select this time Lagos, and I'm going to use motion login issue. I can't something like that. No uploads, and just click on submit. So we go back to our workflow, back to step, and then we can go back to our training as well, and then refresh. So we can see that the workflow didn't fail, even though there was no attachment to this. So that's how you handle this. It's as simple as that. Thank you.